Good morning, good morning. Welcome. Well, could be good afternoon, could be good evening. I don't know. I've said good morning because it's morning here. I am Wayne, co-host of Off the Tools podcast, and this is Andy Jones.
Morning, or afternoon, or evening, wherever you are.
Here we go. So it's another mind-blowing episode of the Off the Tools podcast, where we spill the dirt, go under the covers, find the secrets and the naughty little tricks that we are building and using to build and scale trades businesses. Or it could just be a nice little general discussion about tradesmen using AI are going to win. And it is as simple as that. If you're a tradesman and you're not using AI, you're probably going to lose in the long term. So not really any secrets or under the cover looking, is it really? That was more just bullshit sales techniques that lots of people like to use.
It's very controversial, I think. A statement like that is very controversial to a lot of businesses, but especially in the trades, because there's a lot of this floating around of trades are going to be the safest businesses. And in a lot of ways they are. The actual on-site stuff, yeah, it's going to be possibly never replaced. There's never going to be, or not for a very long time, a robot that's going to, be able to fit a bathroom suite, rewire a house
under the.
It's not going to be there. Weird geeky thing on that as well is because I'd like to listen to other podcasts as well as this. Obviously, the human shape is actually very inefficient. So you see all these videos of robotics companies trying to make human robots to make it look more appealing to people, but we're actually a very inefficient design, and AI and robotics wants to be efficient. So for example, a picking machine in a warehouse can be literally designed to do that, and it's efficient and that works, and it's low, it uses the least amount of energy consumption. However, a human body is designed to be able to do a lot of things okay. We can't climb a tree like a monkey, but we can run faster on two legs. We can't run as fast as a cheetah, but then we can climb, whatever.
I get it.
Random fact. Yeah, there'll probably never be, like, we've all seen iRobot class film, but it's never going to be like that because we're not very efficient.
It doesn't make sense, does it, to have that structure? No,
not at all. So it's not going to be, the jobs aren't going to disappear through that side of things. However, as per the title, it's the guys that are the tradesmen that are using it that are going to win. So very, very controversial subject for sure. Obviously, me and Wayne track a lot of the conversations that are going on the forums, and the majority of people are still old school, as we've spoke about so many times. And this is both with business in general as well as how they conduct themselves and things like that. But ultimately, they're looking at it of not interested, don't need it, it's not going to help me in any way. But ultimately, as per the title and the main topics that we're going to try and hit, is it isn't replacing the trade itself and the work done on site. It's replacing everything that wraps around it. And as you've all heard me say so many times, it's got to a point now where the customer service and everything that wraps around the job that's completed on site is worth as much, if not more, to modern people, or to people in 2026 than what's actually done on site. So that's things like repetitive admin tasks, reaching out, automations, things like that. But all of that admin stuff, people nowadays see more value in it. I've spoke about it more times than I've forgot. But we live in this Amazon Prime, Uber, environment now, in this world where people want to know what's going on. You cannot get away with, I'll be around sometime next week, probably Tuesday, and then that's the end of it. People just won't suffer it. Yeah, there's still people that will, of course, But the window of people that will accept that is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Every
Generally,
year that goes by.
People, generally, it's elderly people, but arguably, what we would deem to be elderly is shrinking, in my opinion. That window of people, my parents are in the 70s, but they still, have smartphones and all that sort of stuff. So it's like,
they're not like, you go back 20 years and think of a 70-year-old. They're not the 70-year-old of today, are they? Like my mother-in-law's nearly 70. My mum and dad are early 60s, and they're not old people, like, they're not like, whereas you go back 20, 30 years ago and you think of a 70-year-old, they're dithering around, it's just not, life's changed, isn't it?
So, because of this expectation and demand for this more premium, or what we say premium, it's only premium really in the trades game. It's standard in so many other things, isn't it? You know what I mean? You can order a McDonald's on Just Eat and be updated on where it's coming and get your tracking with the little guy on the, on the bike on his way to your house. That's pretty standard in so many things now. It's just, and the very reason why I came back into the trades after having some time out was like, well, actually, like, this expectation is growing now for this, for automations and customer service, but nobody's doing it. So it will be quite easy to implement it and, dominate in that area, which is what we're essentially saying. It's not going to replace what you're doing on site, but if you don't implement it, the guy down the road that is going to take all of your business.
No, I agree. On I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but like, we've said here that if you're not using AI, you're going to lose, or we've said that if you are, you're going to win. But there's a caveat there. Correct me if I'm jumping the gun, Andy. We'll come back to this, but I think there's also people using it too much or relying on it too much. Do we want to talk about that now, or should we come back to that further in discussion?
Oh, no, we can jump into that. It's in our notes, isn't it? But we can rearrange that.
So, like, what I mean by that is I'm seeing a lot of people go off, right? Unsort of supported. They're going off, they're using ChatGPT and they're asking it loads of questions, and they're going down these rabbit holes, and they're building these Claude bots, and they're connecting it up to their job management systems, and it's all going fucking crazy. But then they're not managing it, because they've not got the infrastructure of the business correct. They haven't got any admin staff. Because I again, I'm going to go around in circles here, but like, I don't think AI is replacing, in the same way a core drill doesn't replace the engineer. It just helps the engineer core hole the drill, doesn't it? AI to me is a tool that will help the owner and the admin do what it needs to do. And I think a lot of people are trying to go to this Havana state, if that's even a word, where in their head the AI just does everything. The customer rings, they get booked in, and everything runs completely smooth, and they don't have to do anything. That ain't reality. AI isn't going to be able to do that in a moving business like this. AI can do that in a warehouse where there's static things and it's got to move things from A to B and blah, 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 blah. AI is going to be a great tool, but it's not going to replace the need for physical input, and I just see so many people spending a lot of time, a lot of money, and quite frankly, using a lot of unskilled advice. They're Googling it, they're going on forums and just hearing what Dave down the road has fucking made on fucking ChatGPT or whatever it might be, and then thinking that they can do it, which is fine, right? And some of those guys are going to build something that is really good and does the solution that they need it to do. But only if they adapt, only if they bring people in that then use that tool. That's the key for me. It's all right having all of the tools in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, you put a router on in front of me now, right? Amazing tool. You can do all bespoke furniture and route out all of this. I can't fucking use the thing. I'd cut my finger off before I could route some grooves into some paneling, because I don't know how to use the tool.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me a little bit, is that people are seeing it as an easy, I'll just do this on AI and it will solve all my problems. I had I won't mention any names, but we had a conversation with a couple of lads, and they were going through their wish list of what they wanted in their business. And basically, by the end of the conversation, I said, right, okay, what you've said there, realistically, can be achieved. You know, there's nothing there that you've said can't be achieved with AI. I said, but you could also achieve everything you've said there with an admin person, right? And then that admin person can run the AI. So now you're getting double the leverage because you've got someone in-house working the machine, and it blew their mind. They were like, oh, I never thought of it like that, you know? And just a great example of going down the wrong rabbit hole or listening to maybe the wrong people, and maybe people that are just trying to sell I mean this in the nicest way. Everyone needs to make money and everyone needs to make a living, but there's some people out there in this industry that are just selling shit for the sake of selling shit, you know, just to line their own back pocket. And you know, anyone that knows me and knows what we do at Off the Tools, yes, we sell stuff, yes, we make money, of course we do. I'm a fucking business, but we do it, or I believe I do it in the right way. I won't sell stuff that isn't actually going to help people. I could make something look glamorous and fucking all shiny and woo, look at this, and sell a load of crap. But it ain't going to help if you don't have the infrastructure, if you don't have someone that can work that machine. And I'm going off on a tangent because this really annoys me. But
we only offer stuff that we use in our own businesses. Again, this is the thing we've spoke about. And
exactly.
Again, as far as I'm aware, we're the only trade coaching business that still have trade businesses as well, that we then use to test things like the AI out, run software and make sure that it's effective and it works. But my take on the AI is that it adds another sort of 1 to 1.5 admin diary capacity, but it needs to be from number 2. So maybe an easier way of explaining that is it's like having 2 members of the office team when you've only got 1, but you'd still need that base 1. They can run it, they can alter it, and they can keep an eye on it. Ultimately, you know, there's the biggest thing really, I would probably say, is the call answering. That seems to be the thing that's got all the pop-ups for that. It's being really pushed onto the trades, and it's being, as you said, sold as a solution, as a full solution to a problem, but it's not. So again, we've tested this in our business. SalesLine has AI call answering features. However, what we found is that customers aren't really ready or particularly accepting of it.
Definitely not.
Other than to let it, to give it for the customer to feed it some information. And then it still needs to be picked up by someone, ideally someone in the admin team. But we now only have it running completely out of hours. I mean, we have office staff working in the evening and stuff, but that's different. But to think of it as you can just set it, you know, people are going to ring up, talk to the AI, that it's going to take all the data, it's going to book a job into your diary. It's not going to work like that. The technology is there, of course it is, but people are not ready for it yet, and they're not particularly accepting of it. It's the other stuff that we can build in, or we often build in for the lads in Alliance, that is what's particularly effective. So it's things like booking reminders, booking confirmations, sending out automated review requests, which can obviously all be timed and built out, things like that. But ultimately, it's leveraging those boring tasks and giving you access to an additional member of the office team that is obviously much lower in cost, but also is a lot more set and forget when there is someone managing it. So it sounds a bit contradictory, that, because we just said it's not set and forget, but it's set and monitor.
Not monitor. That's
loads and loads of input in. It's set it, and then, oh, actually that's not quite worked right, or we've had some bad feedback for that. Again, we had not the best feedback from the AI call answering, even though it's very, very good and it's been well built out. But it has to be monitored, essentially.
And a huge elephant in the room here, right? And I've got a feeling we've spoke about it somewhere. It might have been on a Wayne's World or something, I don't know. But you know, there's a reason customers are choosing to go with Twin Sun. There's a reason customers are going with Warmer Home. There's a reason they're going for smaller companies. And that's because they don't want to be just a number. They don't want to be just part of that system. So yes, it's all well and good having all this AI and all of this shit, but there's a lot of your customers that want to have that personal experience. And that's where I think a lot of people are going to fall foul of these AI systems, because they're actually going to drive customers away from them if it's not managed neatly enough. Sort of blinked. Sorry if that stopped any recording. I'm just going to quickly just check, make sure everything's looking all right. Yeah. Can you hear me all right, Andy?
Yeah, you went a little bit glitchy then.
Yeah, so did you. It all just sort of like phased out. Where was I going? Yeah, so don't forget that customers are going with you because you're not British Gas, because you're not boxed, because you're not these big conglomerate companies. So don't go away from your roots too much, because yeah, I think that you'll see some backlash in the future with it. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, let's say we've monitored this in our other businesses, haven't we? And people just people are getting put off. A lot of people are getting put off by it. We even received a 1-star review because somebody rang in, and this was before we had the out of hours ladies working, but they spoke to the AI and decided to leave a bad review. That's how much some people still dislike it. They rang a trade business out of hours. It was like 8:30 on a Wednesday or something, and they decided to leave a bad review purely because we had that. So that just shows, in some ways, that would have been better just ringing out or going to a voicemail.
Yeah.
So it's it's just that it's very early in the game. Not for AI call answering. AI call answering and chatbots have been going for 15 years on, I remember trying to sort out new car insurance and it running through AI, God knows how long ago. But as I said at the beginning of this, trades businesses, not only are they very antiquated, they're also, people know they are, and they're generally viewed as it. So people, it's like the majority of this industry, the trade game, is sole traders. So
yeah,
a lot of the time people ring up and expect to speak to the sole trader. I get there's pros and cons to that, as we've spoke about in other podcasts, but an AI call answering kicking in when it's a one-man band is going to look even worse than, it's different if they're ringing British Gas or a big company. There's plenty of big companies around here. If an AI answers that, it's different. There's a different expectation. But when they go to ring Dave down the road and he's just plugged in this AI that somebody sold him on a Facebook ad, and they're like, well, I don't normally ring Dave. What's happening here? And then the phone goes down. Yeah. So yeah, that's my input on the call answering side of it. But it's the back end, isn't it? Really, that is where it really, really shines. That you can have it running, and people think it's being done manually when it's not.
Yeah, and that for me is the power. It's the AI that isn't seen as AI. So like we have tools that stitch things together. Right, that's AI. Yeah, that it's an AI connection that takes data out of one software, puts it into another, and does certain things. So, for example, what's a good example of that? Okay. So you book a job in on, let's say, ServiceMate, because that's what most of the people that we work with use. Based on the type of job that you book it in, obviously. What that then does is the sync lion that I've built basically extracts the data, spits it into sales lion or quote lion or whatever it is. We've got lots of different softwares it pours to, and then based on the specific type of job or the answer to a question or whatever, it will then fire off specific things that need to be done. So a great example of that is if someone books a boiler service on ServiceMate, that will fire out an automatic boiler service confirmation, not just a job confirmation like service mate, and that will do job confirmations. It basically just confirming the booking. What this does is this is powered by Sales Lion, and it sends out a customized email and text message that tells the customer what to expect for their boiler service, what's going to be done, any extras that might incur, like gaskets and all of that sort of stuff. So it presets that whole experience for that customer. And in today's world, you know, people like to know what's going to happen. They don't want chance. People don't like it. People get nervous. You know, a lot of people are socially a little bit scared of like people, and obviously a lot of people are a bit more neurodiverse than ever before. So having a random geezer turn up at their house is quite a scary thing. Whereas if they know, right, they're going to turn up, they're going to do this, they're going to need access to this is what's going to happen, and you lay things out. That's just one example. We do the same for boiler breakdowns. We do the same for plumbing repairs. We do the same for flushing. Like, you know, there's a whole world of different scenarios, even to the point now, again, thanks to AI, you know, we can now, based on an answer in a form. So if you're filling out your CP12, based on the answer, we can set up actions to kickstart based on that. You know, the world is opening up for AI, but it's got to be managed right. It's got to be done correctly with people monitoring, as Andy mentioned that earlier, didn't he? The monitoring of it, making sure that, you know, you wouldn't just leave a submarine to run on its own, would you? Technically, it probably can, right? You know, but they have engineers, they have people that are going around making sure that everything's tightened up, nothing's going loose, nothing's going astray. And this system, this tool, is no different to any other tool in your case, is it? Another little rant.
If you I'm going off on tangent here. Have you ever learned or are aware of how submarines get their oxygen?
No.
It's fucking fascinating.
Go on, let's go down this rabbit hole.
Like, let me
I want to guess that it's getting extracted out of the water, maybe.
It is. It's fucking amazing.
It is, yeah.
So submarines generate their own oxygen by taking seawater, purifying it, running it through an electrical process. It breaks down the water molecules into oxygen for the crew to breathe and hydrogen, which is then expelled back into the ocean.
Fascinating. So it's self like, yeah, I've never really thought about it. I guess I presumed it just had oxygen tanks. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it.
It uses obviously the nuclear reactor, and does that, and it can generate thousands of liters of oxygen an hour. They have. Have you ever seen an oxygen candle?
Nah.
They're pretty clever as well. That's like a standard issue in certain environments. But it's basically a special candle made of sodium chlorate and iron powder, and when it burns, it produces oxygen as part of the process.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Chemical reaction when it burns. And then the whole thing is passed with carbon dioxide scrubbers, which is a little bit like a rebreather. Obviously, those who know me, have listened to me, know I do scuba diving. And you've seen recreational gear. What a lot of the pros do is they use a rebreather system. So like you only use about probably 15 to 20% of the oxygen in a tank, in a compressed air tank. The rest is all the bubbles that you're blowing out, and it's wasted. On a rebreather system, it does a similar thing. It sends it back for a rebreather, takes the oxygen out of it, takes the oxygen out of the wasted air, and then you get to, and it runs it through a process. There's lots of safety things involved, but it allows you to get, 3-4 times as long out of a tank of air. Pretty clever. But I always wondered the same. It's like, how does a submarine have enough air for everyone to breathe when they're down for like?
So the question now then, Andy, on this rabbit hole is, how the hell do they breathe in space then?
Well,
allegedly go to space, shall we say?
Here we go. Yeah.
let's not go down that rabbit hole. But so let's work on some presumed facts. Yeah, that we do go to space. Let's just pretend that that's a fact. We can discuss that later. How the hell are they generating oxygen? There. Go on, Google it. Perplexity. That's a good one if you've got that. That answers things better than ChatGPT and that. It's got to be a similar process, isn't it? There's got to be because there can't be oxygen in space, can there?
Space shuttles stored oxygen as a super cold liquid. They use large external tanks for engine fuel during launch and special pressurized cryogenic tanks in the main body for breathing in space. It gets mixed with liquid nitrogen from separate tanks to create a normal breathable cabin pressure. I'm those who know me know I'm a bit of a skeptic. This is a polite way of putting it. And I don't personally believe we've been to the moon and back personally.
I'm not too sure.
I'm not even sure we have the technology now. I certainly don't think we had the technology back in
1969 or whatever it was.
I'm sure we could send something there, but like just the amount of fuel required and the like you say, the oxygen thing is just anyway.
Well, Elon Musk basically like he obviously can't say it, but he basically was like how much fuel you'd need basically made it impossible. Like back then, and it's like only just
is it called
the radiant belt or whatever it's called?
Yeah, getting past that, like because you've got the magnetic pull, haven't you? The whole thing that keeps us safe is trying to keep everything out or in, and it's like I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, that's a whole different podcast. Maybe we need to just start.
We can do a free
podcast, not to do with off the tools. Where we chat shit about that.
We could do once a month where we chat shit. Let everyone need that. Let's do a little poll.
Everyone we do that every week anyway.
True. If you want a dedicated chatting the shit podcast once a month, let us all know.
Yeah, I'm up for that. I'd like to just talk randomly about bullshit, but I quite enjoy it.
A couple of points then. We were also going to do a shorter one with this, so we'll try and sort of draw it to a close. So
it's half hour long.
The question really isn't whether I come into the trades. It's already there. The question really is whether you're going to implement it before your competitors do. And I know most of the guys listening to this are one-man bands on their own, no office staff, etc. But you need to move forward and get into that position, or you're going to get beaten. Trust us. We know this is what we do. This is our whole business. We observe. As I said before, we have live businesses. It allows us to observe. A really scary number, 88% of customers who will ring someone if it isn't answered the first time, then they will ring someone else. So you need to start putting things in place.
That's only going up as well. Know, people are just too impatient.
On the saving grace of it is there is software now that can be implemented that can make you way more competitive. I just wanted to run through one little scenario that you was touching on before, that is capable with things like Sales Lion, Quote Lion, Service Mate, which would be much more beneficial to lads who don't yet have office staff, which is the AI run automations that you allowed. I'll run through the scenario. You go out to a job, you do something like, let's say you do a boiler service, and when you do the vessel, the water is in a really bad shape. Whether you're doing a test on it or not, you can just see it's in really bad shape. So you want to tell the customer that they need to have a power flush. You can do it in a way where if you select when you're in that job that it needs a power flush or it's your recommendation for a power flush, Sales Line can kick in, see that you've put that trigger in place, then move over to Quote Lion and send a quote out for a power flush.
Yeah.
That would normally be an admin task. That would normally be sent back to the office via an engineer to say send a a
take
powerful
3
quote
days
to
to fucking get actioned and
yeah. So there's just one like super quick example where, because I think there's a lot of this viewpoint, oh no, AIs are for the bigger businesses, they're for the the 10 engineer companies, whatever it might be. It's not. It can be done. It can be leveraged massively by guys who are still on their own. They want to move forward a little bit, but maybe they've not got the capital, they've not got enough work yet to think they can put another member of the team in place. They can start to phase some of this in already because we've built it.
Yeah. Agree. And on that note, guys, you've heard us mention Quoteline a couple of times over the last few weeks. It is live. Quoteline is live. We are going to obviously do a full demo of it, but to warm you up a little bit, go over to the website quoteline.co.uk, and you will start. It's live. It's ready. It's being used. You can jump straight in and start using it. But if you want to be able to send quotes that look great, that are interactive, that have options, that have discounts and timers and all the fancy stuff that modern people, to drive sales want, Quoteline is 100% the tool for you. Designed and built by tradesmen, using it. Me and Andy are using it daily in our businesses. It works. It 100% works. It looks great. It sells amazingly. Your customers just can choose whatever it is that they want. Mate, honestly, there's not a system out there that can produce a better looking quote, a better experience for the customer. And then if you combine that with Sales Lion and Service Mate, and you get what we've called the Lion's Pride software stack, you are literally elevating your business from non-league to Premier League, Champions League. You will start to dominate your area if you bring all of this together. So if you're interested, you can have a free call with myself or Andy, obviously. We can then discuss what it is that maybe will help your business, whether it's one of the softwares, all of the softwares, whatever works for you. And we can look to get your business, because guys, it is, as we record this, right? This is going out in the middle of July. Okay. There's only a month or two before we in winter. If you're a heating engineer, winter's a massively busy period. Even other trades, plumbers, even electricians and stuff, winter lighting, and it's a busy time. Now's the time to take action. You've got a couple of month window now where you might have unless you're an aircon. If you're an aircon guy, head down, fucking get on with it. Dig that.
Speak to us in the winter.
Yeah, come to us in the winter, right? And if you're a landscaper, whatever, again, just crack on. Right. But if you're in the other industries, then now's the perfect time to take action, to invest in the business. You've got to remember, all of this sort of stuff is a tool. Okay. Tools are an investment in the business. They're not a cost. The person that comes to me, I know instantly if they're going to be the right people, because they start talking about the costs of things. And these aren't costs. These are investments in the business. And you have to, if I was going to open a bakery, guess what? I would have to invest in the oven. I'd have to invest in the shelving. I'd have to invest in the cutlery. I'd have to invest in that business, right? Trade businesses are no different. You have to, at times, you have to invest in the business so that then it can grow. So don't fucking come to me saying about costs, because it's not. It's investments in the business. And if you want to be a real business, ultimately, any real business takes investment. You're not talking hundreds of thousands of pounds. You can get the software stack, depending on your business, from anywhere from 2 to 6, 7 grand. Like, depends on the needs and the requirements. And in the scheme of trades businesses, that ain't a lot of money, lads. You break that down over a 5-year period, because that's how long at minimum the system should sort of give you. You're talking pennies a day, and you could have an all singing, all dancing, next level 2026 and beyond ready business. Rant over, upsell over to you, Andy, before I lose my voice. Thank you.
That the distinguish between cost and investment is, I think, overlooked constantly. There's always a post on the forums about, thinking about either someone ranting that they've a software they've already got's gone up by like fucking 10 quid a month, or they're thinking about getting us something, but it's, 100 quid a month, and I'm not paying that much. Again, it's always this tradesman viewpoint rather than business owner viewpoint. And I'm sorry if you don't like me saying it, but if you are self-employed running your own jobs, you are a business owner. Like if you're a subby, it's different. Like, you're a subcontractor, but you're not really running your own business. But if you're managing private customers and you're running your own business, you have a business. You might be an accidental business owner, but you have to think like a business owner, or you're going to be beaten by the guy down the road who is. It's a stark reality check for so many guys. You've been able to get away with it for a long fucking time. 20 years of being
free pass, mate. They've had hall passes, as the Americans call it.
The local friendly tradesman is enough. It used to be enough. Me and Wayne were commenting on a post the other day that we had to have a laugh about, because it was a conversation about marketing and reviews, online reviews and marketing. And somebody said, if you need to have online reviews and you need to pay for marketing, you're doing something wrong. And I was just like, mind blown.
And that's the guy that is going to be working until he dies. Until one day his knees back
working
up
for someone else as well, probably. Working for someone else.
Because
everything's been taken from him, because we've spoke about it a million times. I'm not getting back into it, but he's still living in 20 years ago. So anyway, on that note, if you've got any questions about AI, about any softwares, the softwares that Wayne's just spoke about, whether it be Sales Lion, Quote Lion, Service Mate, let us know. The website, just head over to quotelion.co.uk. I am going to be building out some free templates for people. They can download it. There's a free trial. Free? Are you mad? We are offering, it's a free trial. You can join it, have a look at it, see what you think of it. If you like it, then you can either subscribe and implement it into your business and build it yourself, or we can build it out for you with all the templates. So if you're curious about it, just let us know. We can do a demo. And on that note,
I just thought I'd throw up on the screen the sort of
fancy
stack that we're putting together here. So we've got Quote Lion, Review Lion, Sales Lion, Pricing Lion, and Task Lion. We're forming a pride to take over the trades industry. So please don't delay. Get access to it all as soon as you can. On that note, love you and leave you. We'll see you on the next episode. God bless.
Let's go.